While it has been an outright disastrous start to this NBA season for the Philadelphia 76ers, Jad McCain has established himself as a significant bright spot of this team, and now the entire NBA is being put on notice. We've seen this man shine in every opportunity that he has been given thus far. He has been the beneficiary of an injury-ridden Sixers team, as well as suspensions and everything else that has gone on behind the scenes here. He has jumped at every single opportunity that he has gotten for minutes, and everyone is starting to take notice. We most recently got an upgrade on NBA 2K where Jad McCain is now an 83 overall, a plus 10 increase in just the 14 games of NBA basketball that we've seen this. And to put that in perspective, going from 73 to 83 here, one of the largest jumps that we've really ever seen in 2K. And while I'm using a video game example here, that is because the production on the floor has been that good for Jad McCain. And to kind of list through exactly what I'm talking about here and pull up his stats, we're talking about 15.6 points per game, 2.1 rebounds, 2.7 assists, just 1.1 turnovers per game, which is pretty good considering the minutes that he has played and how often he's had the ball in his hand. Shooting 47.5% from the floor, 41% from three straight up. This dude has been legit by every definition, that he has the swagger to him. He has the confidence. Fearless is the number one word that I would describe him as a basketball player. And to add to kind of the impressive accolades once again, that he has scored the most points by a rookie in their first four starts ever since the NBA and ABA merger. This is something that no one has ever done before. This is incredibly impressive stuff from a 20-year-old who was in high school just 2 years ago. That's how impressive it is. Now, this means a lot for the Sixers team, both in the short and long term. In the short term, obviously, they need to find a way to start winning games. That we're talking about them being the worst record in the entire NBA. They need to begin to turn things around, and it's very clear that Jad McCain is an impact player right away. And I do want to pull up a little bit of highlights from him here, just to put in perspective. The first play specifically is when I most particularly want to highlight that tell me this doesn't look like Steph Curry. The way that he moves, attacking the rim, kicking it to Paul George in the corner, immediate relocation, and bang, automatic from beyond the three-point line. A real deal, high-level elite shooter from day one that he has stepped into the NBA. That was the book on him in college, and there is more to him than just that. So did want to pull up these highlights here. I also love just kind of the personality that he shows, the swagger that he has on the floor, and it just automatic knocking down open three-point looks. The dude is not scared by any means. He's been thrown into a larger role than we have expected, but he's now officially in the mix for the Sixers team. And that is another incredible play. As you see, he misses the shot around the rim. Great offensive rebound by Gershon Yabusele, who's probably the number 2 bright spot on the Sixers team so far this season, but McCain relocates and knocks it down. And just look at how quick that release is. That is automatic stuff, no hesitation. He's willing to knock it down whenever you give him a bit of space here. And when I mention everyone taking notice, it is not just in video games that this is the case. We're talking about the NBA updated rookie ladder. Look at that at number 1. Jad McCain, number 1 overall. Dalton Connect and Jalen Wells, the next two at 2 and 3 there. Zachary Risachet in the mix. Zach Edey, Stephon Castle, Bub Carrington, Yves Missy, Alexander Sarr, Ryan Dunn, and Donovan Clingan. But for Jad McCain, the 16th overall pick, a guy who was playing on a contending team, it was unclear what level of opportunity he would get. This is a pretty incredible output so far. Now, when I mention this changing things for this Sixers team, I also mean in the long run that there is going to have to be some serious conversations as we keep teetering on the edge of what is next for Joel Embiid. Is there a case to be made that the best route for this Sixers organization is to toss the keys to Tyrese Maxey and Jad McCain? Now, it is too premature to have this conversation. There is a lot of years and money committed to the duo of Joel Embiid and Paul George ahead of them, and you still have to see this one out to an extent. This is not something I'm talking about for this specific season, but what it does present is a cleaner opportunity in the future. For so often, it felt like the days after Joel Embiid would be such a dark day for this Sixers franchise, that there would not be this same level of hope, this same chance at competing that we hope for from a year in and year out standpoint, that even with his flaws, you cannot dispute that Joel Embiid has put this team in a position to at least have a chance on a year-by-year basis. There are not a lot of players that you can say that about, and I do think Embiid does not get quite enough love for being the consistent model of success for a franchise. Being a guy that just being there, regardless of who's around him, is going to get you a ticket to the playoffs and keep you at least an above 500 team. That is hard to come by. But there is some juice to a backcourt of Tyrese Maxey and Jad McCain. And what particularly excites me about that is I see a lot of playmaking chops in Jad McCain. Now, I had a chance to talk with him out in Summer League, got a quick interview with McCain, and that was one of the questions that I asked is kind of how do you project yourself as a point guard, as a combo guard? What is kind of your mindset there? And I thought his answer was really interesting, speaking about how he has played point guard his entire life. That's how he grew up. That's how he's, been accustomed to playing basketball, having the ball in his hands a ton, playmaking for others. And then when he did get to Duke, he did shift into more of that off-ball role, that he was asked to play a little bit more of a shooting guard-oriented role. They had a couple talented guards to kind of play above him, and that they had a little bit more pedigree within the program there. And McCain, to his credit, still shot excellent from deep, was over a 41% shooter in his lone year of college, and now he's ready for whatever is thrown his way. And that is clearly proving to be the case, as is evidenced by, once again, this level of highlights here. That I do think he's a capable passer who could be the future point guard. That I think one of the critiques of Tyrese Maxey, while there's not very many of them, I think one of the critiques of Tyrese Maxey is if this guy can ever grow into a true playmaker. That we can see who Maxey is as a scorer, a guy that can absolutely get red hot and take over a game with his just stretch of shooting. And one of my most impressive factors of Maxey is when he goes on these little runs where just 4 straight possessions where he scores a quick 10 points in 4 possessions, and all of a sudden the game looks a little different. That's not quite Jad McCain. While he has his level of getting hot, and to be honest, I think a level that we have not seen in a Sixers uniform just yet, I still think back to the NCAA tournament game against JMU where McCain knocked down 8 3-pointers in the game. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe 7 of them came in the first half in that game where he just could not miss. There is a level of red-hot laser shooting that we will see from Jad McCain that has not been the case yet. But when thinking about how these guys fit together, I do think McCain can be a table setter for the offense, that he could grow into that mold of a true point guard who can still be absolutely cold from the perimeter there. Now, are there defensive concerns? Absolutely. That will be a conversation that needs to be had, but I guess my pushback here immediately is does not matter if you're scoring on them, if you can't stop them on the other end. If we're trading 3s for 2s, talk to the Boston Celtics about how that looks, because that's essentially their outlook this season. They're just going to bomb it deeper from the perimeter, and that's the defending champs that we're talking about here. So it's far too early to have any sort of conversation about if this will work or if that's the proper pathway to the Sixers team. But the fact that you snatched up with the 16th overall pick a guy that looks like a potential franchise just changing talent is electric stuff from Daryl Morey, and you do have to tip the cap there. For all the concerns, for all the critiques that are 100% valid for how this season has started, we at least have Jad McCain. Now, I did put my foot in my mouth a little bit with the McCain conversation, and not in the fact that I did not believe in him. I've always been on the higher side of Jad McCain, but I did not believe it would be to this extent. But I did put my foot in my mouth as far as how good this team or how bad this team could possibly be when speaking about the Sixers as a whole. Now, I said this tweet out at the time these Sixers were 2-9, felt a little bit more confident about at that point than I do currently, but I tweeted, if the Sixers do not make the playoffs, I will personally recreate every Jad McCain TikTok that is requested. They will be fine, long season. They will settle in and be fine, long season. Now, once again, this was sent on November 15th. At the time of it, they were 2-9. They are now 2-12 with the worst record in the NBA. I still have a level of hope that this team is going to find itself, get it together, and go on a run, but it's getting bleaker and bleaker. The margin for error is about as slim as possible, so you may see me ripping out some TikTok dances if that does prove to be the case. But for what it's worth, it is all in good fun. I do love it from Jad McCain. I don't care what you do in your off-court moments if you are playing the way that you are playing, and frankly, this dude is a gamer. That for all the nail polish talk, the TikTok talk, watch this dude on the floor. The dude goes hard from start to finish. That this is a guy who is a grinder, is a competitor. I love everything about him as a basketball player, so we'll rock with him from start to finish, and I expect that to be the case in coming years. Hopefully, the Sixers do not make me eat my words here and have to be, whatever the TikTok dance terms are, or whatever the case may be with that. I will have to find that out and discover, and I will say, when diving upon into the past Rolodex of Jad McCain videos, there are certainly some TikToks there. So we will see how things shake out to this point. But I do want to give Jared his flowers for the way that he has played the early start. Couldn't ask for much better of a start to his NBA career, and ultimately has played himself into a conversation for a far more important part of this team than really should be the case at this point. As I mentioned, getting the love from just about everything, and the Paul George quote saying here that we really got to step our shit up. Jad McCain can't be our most consistent player. He's right about that it is a indictment on the team that is the case, but still want to celebrate the talent for Jad McCain for holding up his end of the bargain and helping this team immediately and moving forward. So shout out to Jared. I think the recognition is only going to continue. I do believe that this level of rookie of the year conversation is legitimate. My only fear here is if his level of opportunity is cut back when ultimately the Sixers do return to full health. But the fact that that's an if they return to full health, it's a far bigger if than I would have initially guessed to be the case there. So there is a real world where from start to finish, this dude is logging 25 plus minutes a game. So I do think there's a pathway to Jad McCain winning rookie of the year there. I do hope that is the case. Regardless, he's going to be a key piece of this Sixers team. So shout out to Jad McCain for showing up ready like so many of your teammates have not this year. Shout out to you guys for tuning into this video here. Drop your thoughts on the comment on McCain as a whole. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you haven't already. Dropping a like on this video, and I'll be talking with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.